my name is Matt Green. I'm a third-year student here at UAA, and I'm majoring in political science and minoring in international studies. And I was born and raised in Alaska. I am currently serving as a delegate of the College of Arts and Sciences, and I'm running for vice president for the 2022-2023 academic year.
What do you hope to accomplish in this role?
I hope to return the livelihood and vibrancy of the campus back to UAA. And really, to that point, taken a lot of the experiences and perspectives of the students and what they have gone through the pandemic, and their struggles, and really accommodating and listening to the experiences to learn how and what best way we can return vibrancy back to the campus. I think that with COVID restrictions easing up and our availability to have in-person classes back again, that there's so much potential here in utilizing what could be the future of UAA. And I think really my goal as vice president and serving under Alfina as president would be to best utilizing and wielding our time to advocate for students. USUAA is very involved with the leaders in the admin at UAA, and it is Chancellor Parnell is interested in the long-term enrollment and retention of students at UAA. And at UAA, the more students there are, the better the campus is. The more lively it is, the more funding we have for activities, the more availability there is for activities. And so really working with the people that we already work with in USUAA, and really trying to help funnel high school students that don't know about the opportunities that there are at UAA and the benefits that there are at UAA, and really emphasizing the way that UAA cares and can work for high school students across Alaska. And I think a way to improve the life at UAA, of course, is taking in these high school students and incorporating them into the university life. And I think that really is going to be the end goal for improving the livelihood on campus.
What are your ideas for bringing the university back to a state of normalcy as we continue to navigate the pandemic?
I think that it's, of course, important to remain cognizant of CDC guidelines and updates as we progress towards hopefully the end of the pandemic. And I think that working closely with Tim Edwards, our director of safety here at UAA, has been very vital to these restrictions and precautions that we've been taking. And so, of course, looking forward, working closely with him still, and again, trying to listen and receive all of the experiences from students who have just gone through so much online delivery, taking in those experiences and really taking them to heart and applying it in the classroom. And I think whatever is going to be best for the students, whatever will be best to hear from the students, is ultimately going to be the tool for improving life on campus or life in the classroom. I think that with the challenges of the pandemic, that students, of course, not being in the same classroom environments that are very typical pre-pandemic, it has kind of, in a way, hindered our ability to perform normally outside of the classroom and efficiently do our work. I mean, with all of the unfortunate circumstances and the weight of everything, it's very hard to keep on top of things. And I think that what would be very beneficial, and we've heard this is from other students, is that the accessibility of a student forum where students can voice any concerns that they have, I think would be very vital in helping students out and voice their concerns, as well as creating an online accessibility platform where students can learn either tools such as through Microsoft, or entry-level skills that are needed to join entry-level jobs in order to join the labor or the workforce. And so I think having the resources that helps train students back into these academic routines and helping them through their schoolwork that may have been damaged by the setting of the pandemic and isolated learning would be very beneficial to the student body. So I think online forums where students can voice their opinion, as well as an online resource and accessibility to information that enhances and trains student skills that are needed for higher level education classes and later the workforce.
Participation in student activities and campus life has fallen during COVID, and many organizations lack student leadership. So coming out of the restrictions, how do you plan to encourage students to participate in organizations and fill leadership roles?
I think it's important to emphasize to students the impacts that they have in their participation in these events and activities at UAA. In my own personal experience, learning about the difference that students were making in and of itself, staying at UAA through the pandemic and helping the university live on, helped to drive me to still participate in school, because knowing that these programs would eventually benefit other students, the way it benefited me was a big driver in wanting to participate in these programs too. So I think really emphasizing the importance of participating and how much joy it can really bring students, and just speaking to our own experiences as student leaders, I think is really important to hear for incoming students, because when you're a new student and you're looking for that niche or just that group that you feel at one with, I think hearing the experiences that you have participating in groups or going to events or being a student leader is really important for them.
If we have to return to lockdowns or restrictions, how do you go about encouraging students to participate and take on those leadership positions if we have to return to something because of a variant of the virus or something?
Right. And to the point that I had made to the prior question, I think it kind of relates in that emphasizing the importance of, students' participation and really just persevering, and emphasizing the importance of perseverance for students, I think does a lot. And if we were to go back to social distancing, I think it's a really important reminder that we just be very encouraging of students and remind them of the resources they have, the opportunities they have, because it can be very isolating and depressing when we're doing social distancing work and asynchronous kind of classes. And I think really encouraging students during this time is going to be what helps keep them and sustain them at UAA and help them participate more, even if they have to participate virtually. And to that point, I also think, as I mentioned earlier, working with our Director of Safety, Tim Edwards, is always of the utmost importance when we're looking at any rise in new variants and our direction of safety at UAA. So the main point, I think, would be to carefully and consciously, like we have been, working with officials, following science, and then really just encouraging students in times where they need it.
What makes you uniquely qualified for this position?
Really, and it sounds so funny, I think that I'm uniquely qualified for this position because I initially did not want to go to UAA. I was not really sure where I wanted to go, but I had heard around in high school, and it's kind of this perpetuating idea that if you stay in Alaska, go to UAA, that you're not really making it as far as other students. And I think, I believe through my experiences at UAA, I've had a total 180 in my view of the university, and not because of any more credit or less credit that I already had, but really because I had cleared through my experience the misconception and the disinformation about what was at the university, what the university could provide. And I think in my own experience, I have found that it's so many things within UAA that draw me to it. Namely, one, the opportunities that have been presented to me, I think, are not adequately expressed or emphasized to high school students. And I think that disproving this misconception about staying in the state, about the relationship you build with Alaska through UAA, I've all experienced that. And I've really learned by going to UAA what kind of university it is. And it's totally flipped my beliefs on it. And I think my ability to speak to those experiences and the change in my conviction is what allows me to hear the different perspectives of students around campus, and what ultimately will be great utilization as serving as vice president.